Alrighty, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of Roundabout Sports, presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. Thank you so much. It's a very cold, surprisingly cold, given that it was 80 degrees yesterday. It is a cold Wednesday night, February 28th, 2024. I am the maestro, Jeremy Karp. And this evening, we are going to be talking a lot in regards to the Kansas City Chiefs, specifically the future of Arrowhead Stadium. Now, I'll be honest. I mean, the proposed Crossroads baseball stadium for the Royals was recently revealed, but now it's time that we take a look at what is going on with the Kansas City Chiefs and Arrowhead Stadium. Now, this is the first this morning. Kansas City Chiefs chairman and CEO Clark Hunt, as well as team president Mark Donovan, presented the renovation concepts for what a reimagined GEHA field at Arrowhead Stadium will look like. Now, Hunt estimated the cost of it is around $800 million. The Hunt family would invest $300 million towards that total amount. Now, the rest of it, a lot of this is contingent upon a 3/8 cent county tax. So I say we take a delve into that first. Now this is where everything, because this is not just about the Chiefs. This is about this is about the future of the fact that Kauffman Stadium and Arrowhead Stadium. You know, everybody knows famously they're right next to each other. And there's a lot involved in the future of both of these stadiums. And the plan is contingent on everything in April. It would lead to the demolition of the fact that Kauffman Stadium, which is among the top 5 oldest stadiums in Major League Baseball, would be demolished, and it would be expanded upon for the Chiefs. So these are the visions that the Chiefs have for their stadium, for the future stadium. And for those that are tuning into the audio and visual part of the broadcast, I will put up a couple pictures to show you what it looks like. But let me begin. So this new vision for the future Arrowhead would feature a new turf-covered activation zone with tailgate areas and covered entertainment space built over where the K was or is currently. It'll feature a new upper concourse connection bridge, creating 360 access for the upper deck, an upper concourse canopy, providing weather protection, including infrared heaters and overhead fans, new VIP stadium entry points, new sideline clubs, new video boards likely to be within the size of the ones you would find in Dallas or Los Angeles. Then you have, on top of that, you would have traditional concession stands, which will be converted to modern grab-and-go markets throughout the general concourses of the stadium, which they predict would increase the speed of service by about 30 or 40%. You know, roughly. It's a rough estimate on everything. So, and these are just some of what it looks like. And this is one. I mean, they expect new end zone suites, the VIP entry. You know, like, and as you can, for those tuning in and watching it and seeing the picture, I mean, you see you see Arrowhead Stadium, what it currently looks like, but where everything would be put at. You see where the K is, and you know, there's a lot riding on this. Now, this is not something that's going to happen within the next couple years or so. I'm going to put this out there right away that Arrowhead Stadium is one of the stadiums that'll be host stadium for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And Donovan said that at the soonest, this project would begin in 2027. They aim for it to be completed in 2030. If more time's needed, it would be pushed back to 2031. Now, this has been behind the scenes for years. This has been a lot of planning and negotiations for the Kansas City Royals and Chiefs. The Royals aim to demolish 6 blocks approximately of the Crossroads district in Kansas City, which would make way for the brand new baseball stadium with all the, bright shiny lights and everything, if you will. But on the April 2nd ballot, for those folks that live in Jackson County, they will see a lengthy item on the ballot asking to repeal and replace a sales tax that would otherwise evaporate in 2031. Basically, if the ballot passes, they would use the 3/8 cent sales tax revenue for a new Royal Stadium and improvements for Arrowhead Stadium. Now, this is where some people have issues with it. According to the ballot, they have to, the voters, it would be a 40-year commitment to subsidize the Kansas City Royals as well as the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, obviously, taxpayers having to commit to something such long term is not something ideal, but nonetheless, it is something that could very well be a possibility. Now, this is something that has been worked on between the Chiefs, Royals, the Jackson County, and a coalition of community groups, including but not limited to the Missouri Workers Center and the labor union representing the current stadium workers. Now, before you vote on April 2nd, I want to make it clear that upwards of 1.7 billion taxpayer dollars are on the line on the April ballot for Kansas City and Jackson County voters. And now the Royals have not yet approved a lease agreement with the county or a community benefits agreement. Basically, they're wanting a more downtown-esque stadium environment, similar to what Ballpark Village is. And, the coalition for the community likely will not back the ballot measure until an agreement is finalized with the Royals. So basically, like I said, a vote yes would repeal the sales tax, which is currently in place, set to expire in 2031. It would replace it for the new one that is not restricted to just the Truman Sports Complex. But this is the thing. The tax would extend until 2064, which by that point I would be a lot of years old. Now, a lot of people really are having mixed feelings in that regard, but they are also really enjoying, what the future could hold for the two stadiums. Um, I will say that, well, give me 1 second. The Royals, this is per Chiefs owner Clark Hunt. The Royals have a very exciting project for the city and the county and the state, and we think our plans for Arrowhead are equally exciting. We know what it means to our fans, and we would love to be able to continue that for another 25 years. Arrowhead Stadium. Now, there has been an official statement released from the office of Missouri Governor Mike Parson. Governor Parson has had conversations, quote, with the Chiefs and will continue them moving forward. He will do what he can to support both teams and their continued impact in Missouri. But There has been no state commitment at the time. There is a lot of unknowns of the 3/8 cent Jackson County sales tax, and that will need to be all figured out before any state proposal would be put forward. Now, according to the Chiefs front office, the seating capacity will remain above 70,000. And for those wondering why Arrowhead Stadium needs a new stadium, or why the Chiefs need a new stadium, if you will, I mean, it is I mean, right now it holds 76,416 people at capacity. Um, but the stadium was built well, it started in 1968, but it officially opened in 1972. So it is on the older end of NFL stadiums. And usually NFL stadiums, especially in this day and age, see a modern shelf life of about 20 to 25 years. Um, and, you know, the Chiefs are not the only team that are looking at rebuilding or renovating their stadiums. Obviously, the Chicago Bears have looked into moving into Arlington Heights, Illinois, just up from downtown Chicago. Cleveland has looked into moving out of right on Lake Erie, moving to a place called Brook Park, which is not too far away from downtown Cleveland as well. So, you know, the Chiefs plan on staying at Arrowhead. It's just renovating it and giving it a whole new experience. And like I said earlier, having video boards and things like that, the size and scope that you would find at Jerry World or SoFi Stadium or places of that nature. Um, so, it is a lot of interesting, things going on. It's full. Arrowhead Stadium is an iconic place in Chiefs history, and according to the Chiefs in a statement, they said, "Our vision is to elevate our unrivaled fan experience for the next generation of fans with improvements across all levels inside, new activation zones and tailgate experience, and so much more." However, these renovations will only be made possible if you all vote yes on the April 2nd ballot for the 3/8 cent sales tax. And that is where a lot of people, are going to have their own issues. Now, Hunt said, "We would not be willing to sign a lease for another 25 years without the financing to properly renovate and reimagine the stadium. The financial puzzle is very important in making sure they have enough funds to do everything we've outlined." Now, here is something that a lot of people may get turned off about, but I'm going to say it. And this is, and when it comes to stadiums these days, especially in a place like Kansas City, it's something that Chicago has been discussing and Cleveland's been discussing with their new stadiums or future of their stadiums, a roof. Arrowhead has no roof. I mean, it's no secret. And there's no plan to put a roof. They're not planning on adding any type of retractable roof, make a dome or anything. And unfortunately, that would serve as a major roadblock into hosting a future Super Bowl. The majority of Super Bowls in this day and age, are usually hosted in domed facilities. Like, for example, next year it's going to be held in the Superdome in New Orleans. Whereas, back even in the 90s and even mid 2000s, hell, nobody cared. Like, it was a stadium, you hosted it. Like, if it could seat well and it looked good enough, you can host a Super Bowl. But the Chiefs have no problem with the fact that there won't be a dome or a roof up top because Hunt believes that playing in the elements is something the team enjoys, gives them a competitive advantage. So this is there's something also I have to discuss on the air. And for those, once again, you can find us on we're on StreamYard right now, but you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you can find a podcast, we're there. Okay, Mark Donovan, the team president of the Chiefs, claims that the Royals received what they call a bad batch of concrete, which is what's going to make the idea of renovation easier for the Chiefs. To put it bluntly, he says it's concrete cancer. The Royals say that the concrete is affecting Kauffman Stadium. Meanwhile, there's no issue at Arrowhead Stadium in regards to the structure. So it only seems to reason, if this all passes, that they would demolish Kauffman Stadium, do all the renovations at Arrowhead, and work towards a future. I mean, it's an interesting, very complex situation in Kansas City right now, because a lot of people love the concept of having Kauffman and Arrowhead next to each other. Others can't stand it. They think it's a cluster. Personally, I mean, me not being a citizen in Kansas City, me not being somebody who personally lives there, I mean, the commute doesn't affect me as much. I've been down there when games have taken place. I've been to a Royals game. Like, I know, and of course it goes without saying, you fit over 76,000 people into a Kansas City Chiefs game, and traffic is absolute hell. But what I'm saying is, having them no longer on the same property and having basically an expanded Arrowhead Stadium, what will that lead to? And while we've talked about in depth on a lot of the proposed ideas, it remains to be seen if it'll be pulled off. And like I said, all of this, everything I've talked about, it comes down to just the fact that if the voters want to spend 40 years with an increased sales tax, and I think more so the years is more of an issue for the voters than it is the actual money commitment. Now, a lot of people on the Interstate 70 Sports Media Facebook page asked me what the activation zone is. Okay. This is the thing. So a new turf-covered activation zone would feature tailgate areas, entertainment spaces, built over what the current site is for Kauffman. It would feature a lot of community opportunities, game day activations, things of that nature. But it's not going to be mixed-use building development. You're not going to find homes or apartments or basically a ballpark village type experience at outside Arrowhead on that property. Donovan made it clear to reporters this morning that he said, quote, "It's not a location that's worthy of developing, as harsh as it may sound." And, they've released, the new video boards. However, for those don't have to worry, because I know some will think that they're going to change the shape. See, Arrowhead has iconic curved oval shaped video boards because Arrowhead has, a curved shape design to it. And those are going to stay. Now, LED ribbon boards will also be installed at the stadium. Like I said earlier, there will be a new canopy on the upper concourse, so there will be a lot more protection from the weather elements. All in all, the Chiefs and Royals have it all planned out. They've worked long and hard to get this planned out. We've talked about when Kansas City wants to, I believe the Kauffman Stadium lease is up in 2028. They want to be out by then. And since not all of this would be taking place on Kauffman's site, the Chiefs can get started on it. By the time the Royals move, everything aligns in the sense of the timeline. It just comes down, honestly, and in a good old-fashioned American way, it just comes down to the voters. Comes down to the voters on April 2nd, if they vote yes on the ballot initiative. And, once again, this is what happens. Now, I've talked about what happens if you vote yes. Now, the sales tax is earmarked for the Truman Sports Complex. The Royals cannot use these funds for the team's downtown stadium plans. So, the new sales tax would no longer be restricted to just that. Now, if the majority vote is no, the sales tax will continue funding Truman Sports Complex, which includes Arrowhead and Kauffman, using the existing sales tax until 2031. So it's not so much that you're having an increase in sales tax, you're having a longer commitment of sales tax, and you're loosening restrictions on where that sales tax money will go. Now, the Jackson County legislature actually has to take action after the election in April to authorize it. Now, the Chiefs and the Royals have agreed to split the sales tax money, the revenue, which is approximately 54 million. I almost said billion. No, the tax is supposed to generate 54 million on a yearly basis. And for those that are wondering who will be in charge of spending it, the Jackson County Sports Complex Authority, or the JCSCA, will be the people that determine how the money is distributed. Before the Chiefs or Royals can use it, the money must first pay off debt obligations, which we'll get into that later on when it talks about loans and stadium finances and everything. But let's put it this way. Sports Radio 810 WHB reported that between 2007 and 2012, only 9% of the Royal sales tax revenue was actually spent on maintenance and repairs. Basically saying, there's going to be a lot of leftover money. But once again, April 2nd is the day that Kansas City, Jackson County folks really have to keep their heads on a swivel about. And on top of everything else that'll be on the ballot, like I said, there's $1.7 billion worth of stuff that's on this ballot when it comes to taxes. And in the economy we live in, every cent counts. So, yes, I absolutely insist everybody that is in the Jackson County area, take time, read through the ballots, understand everything that you're voting for. Yes, this will affect you for the next 40 years if you live in Jackson County. To give you the absolute SparkNotes version of all of this, the Royals are moving downtown. If the plan in all of this, the proposed plan for the Chiefs and Royals, the Royals move downtown, and I mean downtown Kansas City. The Chiefs they demolished Kauffman Stadium. The Chiefs used the site of Kauffman Stadium for expansion and renovation. Plain and simple. And all it takes is the majority to vote yes on April 2nd. If that happens, hooray. If not, oh well. But the existing sales tax expires in 2031. So we shall see how that goes. with that, folks, before we wrap it up today on Roundabout Sports, I have to. We're going to do one little thing here for St. Louis sports, and that is the fact that the St. Louis Cardinals, of all teams, I never thought I'd hear this. Granted, I especially didn't think I'd be hearing it in 2024, let alone ever. The Cardinals signed shortstop Brandon Crawford. And Crawford has been he's 37 years old now because you know, if you're over 30, you are perfect for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2024. But anyway, Brandon Crawford, you know, he is a 3-time All-Star, he's a 2-time World Series champ, he is a 4-time Gold Glove Award winner and a Silver Slugger Award winner. He's had a career 250 average with nearly 1,400 hits in his career. The Cardinals have made it clear Mason Wynn is going to be the starting shortstop with the St. Louis Cardinals this year. That said, adding Brandon Crawford provides a depth role. He can rotate in. And believe it or not, and this is going to sound crazy to some, it'll give Tommy Edman the opportunity to. He could rotate in at second, maybe give Edman an opportunity to play in the outfield. The Cardinals are going to be doing a lot of shuffling around this year when it comes to their not just their lineup, but their on out in the field as well. It's not just about what order they're hitting; it's about what position they're fielding, and a lot of that is going to be played into some of these veteran signings. I mean, Carpenter's going to be probably primarily a DH throughout the season, but the rest remains to be seen. But Brandon Crawford's signing is very interesting to me. You know, like I said, he won 3 consecutive Gold Gloves. He's established himself as one of the top defensive infielders for over 15 years. So there's a lot of great veteran mentorship for guys like Mason Wynn and Nolan Gorman and Tommy Edman to learn from. But a lot of people are really starting to criticize the front office because, look, you signed Kyle Gibson, 36. You signed Matt Carpenter, 38. You signed Crawford, 37. You signed Sonny Gray, 34. You signed Lance Lynn, 37. I mean, you have these young guys like Mason Wynn, Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker. And yeah, you even got, and I'm going to say this, and as much as I love him, and he literally is coming off just an MVP season 2 years ago, we got to take into account Paul Goldschmidt's 36 years old as well. And he's going to be 37 in September. Now, of course, you know, in future episodes and on our website, interstate70sports.media, I'll delve more into the whole Goldschmidt situation. But what I think is going to end up happening, given this is a contract year, is they're going to extend him for 2 more years, get him to finish his career with the Cardinals, and then that will be it. Remains to be seen what happens. I will say it is kind of funny to think about the fact that the Cardinals got Nolan Arenado from the Rockies. The Cardinals got Brandon Crawford from the Giants. The Cardinals got Paul Goldschmidt from the Diamondbacks. Now we just got to see who they get from the Dodgers and the Padres. I mean, you could say they got Carpenter from the Padres. He was briefly there. But all you have to wonder next is who would they get from the Dodgers, and you've officially gotten a player from every team in the NL West. So we'll see how that goes. But folks, we're going to wrap it up this evening on Roundabout Sports. And I always appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we always put at the end of the show the NAMI helpline, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And for that, you call 1-800-950-NAMI. That's 1-800-950-NAMI. NAMI is the nation's largest grassroots mental health campaign organization dedicated to building better lives for those that struggle. And of course, we always put the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at the end of the show on the bottom of our screen. And for that, you dial 988. The phone line is open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years, such as this year, February 29th tomorrow. Understand that you're never alone out there. There is always somebody out there who loves you and cares about you and wants what's best for you. Our roads of life are full of stress and trials and tribulations, but it's not something that has to be traveled alone. And you are just a phone call, a text message, an email away. And you could also be the listening ears for somebody else out there. So, always keep an eye out. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and on X at Interstate 70 Sports Media, and you can find me, Jeremy Karp, for the record, that's with a K. And you can find us on YouTube at Interstate 70 Sports Media. You can find Roundabout Sports on Facebook as well. And last but not least, you can find, like I said, us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you could find any podcast. And be sure to go to our website at interstate70sports.media. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm the Maestro Jeremy Karp, and remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading.